welcome each and every one of you. With you today is me, Daiga, multilinguistic international coach therapist from DCTcentre. Also, I'm true speaker, healer, energy worker, guide, mentor, co-creator, galactic ambassador from Pleiadian. And with me today is again two wonderful, lovely ladies, Morganne Rayne, spiritual consultant, gratefully providing access to higher dimensions of being. Morganne has been called the healer of healers as a way to describe unique spiritual tools she shares. Morganne is here to serve those who seek great understanding of their sacred spiritual self, have the deep desire to integrate that consciousness in their 3D world. And Jeanne Reina. Jeanne is saying about herself, I am lifetime student of growth. I continue to take classes to enhance my knowledge base. At present, I'm studying internal family systems. So, ladies, hello, hello, hello. So nice to see you again. How you been?
Good.
I'm good too. I'm good. Yeah. It's uh it's summer. It's always fun, right? We got lots of stuff going on and happiness. Jeannie and I've been hitting the concerts, having fun doing that.
Yeah, outdoor concerts are
Outdoor
fabulous.
concerts. It's so fun. Just that continuing to bond with your beloveds, and like this group of women that we hang with, they're more like family, right? They're like it's beyond friendship. It's like it's this beautiful experience that we have of trust and love, and the I love the conversations we have because they always go so deep and beautiful, and right, there's no superficiality with us. Well, sometimes there's frivolity and superficiality, but that's the fun part, right? But for the most part, we just have this deepening awareness, and that's kind of where we always go, is in the so when you have that kind of those kind of relationships, it brings the soul family aspect into it. So yeah, good summer. Today is the day out of time, and we did that last year. It happens every July 25th. It's a marker point on the Mayan calendar. And people might ask, well, why do you even think about the Mayan calendar? Well, the Mayans were genius in their capacity to develop calendars and measure the stars. If anyone has ever been to Chichen Itza, and I've gone to the top of the conservatory there. It's the most brilliant, like it's like you can go up there and you can feel the brilliance of the minds that created this masterpiece of calculation of the heavens, of the stars, of the movements. They've been doing this for centuries and centuries, right? They've been measuring so why would I look at a Mayan calendar? Because they understood time way better than I think anyone else has. A lot of times calendars are made to be convenience for governments or whatever, or institutions. And so our calendar is the one that we follow now, that Gregorian calendar on a 12-month cycle, is really out of sync with natural law. And because the Mayans and many other indigenous cultures and our own calendars from way back were on a 13-month, right? So it was 13 months of 28 days, the 28 days, right? And it's like that's a cyclical thing. And you think about women when they have their natural cycles are every 28 days. So when you look at time in its natural format, then you kind of get a sense of where you fit into the cosmology of the whole thing. So today, the July the 25th, the Mayans consider this the last day of the year. So this is like New Year's Eve, right? And some of the things that even in our little women's group, we do this on at the end of the year. We take a look at everything that happened throughout the year, right? The what are our accomplishments? What occurred during the year, right? And then it's kind of like you kind of put it to rest, and you make these goals and dreams, and you open your heart to what's new as you step into that new year. Well, that's what this time is right now. So this day at a time is a marker for letting go completely of the past. Let it go. And wait, hopefully with high anticipation of your future, filled and fueled with your dreams and your ambitions and things you want to accomplish. So, so this day I get excited about this time, and I love cycles and I love seasons. I know everybody knows that about me, right? And right now we're in the bounty, right? How I see it, where I live, I've got masses of grapes just going everywhere. I'm looking forward to what am I going to make with that. I'm thinking balsamic.
What are you planning to make with them?
Last year I made jelly, and I made all kinds of different kinds of grape jelly. Like I had like 4 different kinds of grape jelly. So I made one peppery, I made one more savory. It's just like you just take the element of what it is and use your creativity. So last year I made jelly. I still have jelly, so I probably won't make it this year. But and then I give it away. I share it. I feed people with it. So I like to stay in those cycles and everything that represents. So today, if we're looking at a cosmological cycle, like we're talking big, like multi-dimensional. We're not talking just like the little earthbound, but when we start putting our attention on the multi-dimensionality of time, well, that just takes us in a whole different direction. Right? So when we're talking about multi-dimension, see, a lot of people think that we're just here, right? It's just one dimension, right? It's, some people can like ramp it. Okay, we're in 3 dimensions. I'll give you that, right? But there's there's all these dimensions of beingness, and like we want to get in sync with all of that too. So there's a cosmological time set that we can set for ourselves, where we become in harmony with the cosmos, harmony with the multi-dimensions, in harmony. And when we do that, then we naturally have like a beautiful reset here on this dimension that we live in right now, the earth, on the earth plane, which a lot of people are just saying it's 3D, but this dimension really encompasses a lot of the 4D emotionality too. So anyway, I realize I just talked, and so let's open this up for others. What you think? Yeah.
It's such a big topic, and there's so much to it that I'm wondering if you can say more about the day out of time and what it's a marker point for the Mayan calendar
For endings.
For
releasing the past, for taking accountability for what has gone before, what has happened, how it's been, right? And not with dismay or upset or anything like that. It's just like, oh, well, this happened. You can go through your life, your own personal life. You can go through the life of what's been going on in our world or your particular country. you can do any and all of that, right? It's really about, wow, this is the end of a cycle. So if we're creators, right? If we are creators, which I do believe we are, what is the next cycle? Well, that's going to be our consciousness. What are we bringing to this next cycle? Are we bringing, so like I said, you know, a little earlier, when we look at the new with hope and anticipation and excitement, we're bringing this higher frequency energy to it, right? When we're thinking about celebrations, today's also a day of celebrating the past, celebrating what's come before us, celebrating all that, and then letting it go because it's still the past. and then from that create, well, what's next? What else is what else is possible? Right? So what's possible for this new cycle of being? I love that whole concept of living in the consciousness of what else is possible. Isn't that a beautiful thing to think about as a consciousness, so that people don't get stuck in, oh, it is the way it is, or, you know, I'm the saying that just hit my head is, I'm up shit creek without a paddle, right? Have you ever heard that that saying? It's like, well, you know, turn your boat into a yacht. I don't know, right? So did that answer your question, Jeannie, about more about the day out of time? So it's really acknowledging what has passed and taking that. You know, sometimes when I do meditations, I talk about that place before you take the next breath, or that place after your breath where you just sit in that pause. That's what today is. Today's the pause.
That's beautiful. Because how often do we take a pause in our life to reflect? You know, be intentional about reflection. Sometimes we do it without being intentional about it and, you know, going backwards or forwards. But it's nice to have a day that we can do that, that we set aside to do that. It's for me, you know, it seems a very sacred time to honor what has passed, and to be intentional about how we want to move forward.
Yeah, and I love that you said that, because I had that same thought this morning. What a sacred time to take to just pause, not have an energy of what was right or wrong, but just pause, just no energy on it. That what I think, you know, they talk, you know, in Greg Braden's work, he talks about that 0 point. That would be what today is, the 0 point, where there's no energy on it other than maybe the celebration, I would say, for what has passed. All of it, every bit of it, celebrate it all.
Right.
Yeah.
You've been telling about 13 weeks of 28, yeah? Is
13 months.
this, yeah, 13 months of 28 days, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah. So, does it is in I'm not talking about this calendar what we working at the moment. We all know this is not right calendar. At least those who watching us already know that it is not right calendar. It's not going by any moon cycles or any other cycles for that matter. Yeah. We also know that in universe there is no time. Yeah. So time doesn't exist, all is now.
Well, there is only now. right? But if you think about as above, so below, I've thought about this question a lot, right? Is there time? Is there
You
not?
probably thought I will be asking this question.
Well, is there time? Is there not time? If we look at the concept as above, so below, well, maybe there is time. And the Mayans certainly believed there was time because they measured the heavens, right? And as they measured, they could calculate that there were these days, these moon days, these sun days, these days that it would all come back again, right? So they measured these cycles. Well, these cycles are all about time. So that's where I love the concept of the cosmological time. Let me see, I wrote down a couple of notes actually pertaining to this. So if you just give me a moment to put my spectacles on and take a look at what my notes say. So I wrote down about so the Mayans were aware of limiting linear time cycles. So that would be man-made time cycles, those linear time cycles. So they didn't think in a linear fashion, they more thought multidimensionally. So the multidimensionality of time, it's man, when I'm writing my notes, going back and reading my writing is so so the multidimensionality aspect of time that constitutes the dynamic, this allows us to connect to the cosmic time. So what does that mean? So when we connect to multidimensionality, so like time in this dimension, time in that dimension, when we connect to all of that cosmologically, then we get into a bigger time clock, I guess it would be. Like if I think about up at Chichen Itza, being in that observatory, right? It's like time became more expansive. It wasn't linear, it was expansive. I would think more kind of like what a spiral does, right? So a spiral goes like this. So like it encompasses so much more rather than a straight line. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we don't know for sure what it is because I don't know for sure, right? But I can go back and I can look at what the Mayans, and I love looking at what they did because they were masters of it. They'd been studying it for generations, this concept of time. So they look at multidimensionality. So when you look at it multidimensionally, it's very different. It's a try doing that, right? Try sitting in I'm more than this. So what is time in those aspects? And truly there's only now, right? There's the past. So we got three, right? We got the past, we got the present, and we got the future. It's actually pretty easy, right? So we got the past, we got the present, we got the future. Most people skip the present. Most people are trying to do their future hooked to their past, right, Jeannie? That's why people get stuck. And you know that too, Dega. People get stuck because they're trying to create their future based on their past. If you could take this concept that we're talking about today with the day out of time and be really anchored in that present moment, give thanks for all that happened. That's that celebratory thing. That's that recounting of all the stuff that happened in the past. We just go 1 year, right? And you celebrate it. That energy of, rather than, oh man, that was really bad or whatever, because that brings an energy to it, which we're talking about frequency here, right? When you celebrate it, wow, this all happened, this happened, and now I'm here. let it go. I'm in the present moment. I'm in that pause, having celebrated, having released, having let go. From here, what is the awareness and the consciousness I'm going to bring to my present, to my future, right? That's all determined in the present moment. So the Mayans understood all of that, and but they did it in a very huge, multidimensional way, which we don't know how to do that because we weren't taught. All that was taken away from us. So, but what we do know is that if we can look at it as the concept as above, so below, I would say that in some respects there is some cosmological clock going on that we don't know. I don't know. Somebody may know, but I don't know. I can only sense and feel into it and follow the teachings of those who have come before us that knew way more than what we know right now, which humans are pretty dumb as a species right now. Just saying. So things I wanted to bring up, Mayans regarded this day as a spiritual marker to start the evolutionary process of humanity. OMG. I'm going to read that again because that is powerful. Mayans regarded this day as a spiritual marker to start the evolutionary process of humanity. The evolutionary process of humanity. Okay, so this means that we're evolving. That just
But
means
it's involving actually every year. It's not like especially this year we start
that's right.
involving.
Remember the spiral thing I'm talking about? We evolve, we expand. We're not to be staying in that linear fashion. We're here to evolve, expand, experience, embrace, create. That's what we're here to do. So if and that's true, that this is the start of the evolutionary process of humanity, well, what are we starting here? What is the evolutionary process we're creating here? Higher frequency, letting go of the ego, stepping into love, right? It's like evolution. Like, this is brilliant. Humans is brilliant. Let's go there. Like, humans are brilliant. Rather than being dumbed down, let's expand. Let's move into that expansive state. And then when we move into that expansive state, I will tell you, information comes, things come, but it won't come if you stay in that low density, this is all there is kind of frequency. Okay, what else did I write down? It's a moment of great energetic intensity in which the beings of light work to align us with the harmony of the universe on its various dimensions of time. So when we get in harmony with this concept, the as above, so that it can come below, right? So this is like lifting our frequency with the light beings, with all the ascended mastery, with all of the archangels, with all that carries this light signature. When we align with them, we come into harmony and balance with them. Our lives become very different. They become very different. I probably should stop each time and say, are there any questions or
I'm trying to take in at the moment. How about you, Jeanne?
I'm the same way. This is a pretty big concept of what you're saying, and and I'm just trying to take it all in, and how it and try to, as you're talking, I'm trying to integrate it into my life. So and that's what I do in order to learn, is try to bring it into my life and how that would show up. So
yeah.
that's where I am in the process of this.
I'm loving that you're doing that, because that's what I'm hoping everybody's going to do, right? How do I take this into my life? How do I do that? Well, start today and take the pause, right? It's like that's my next sentence here. Time to pause. Time to pause. Just stop. Humans, we're called human beings, but really we should be called human doings, because humans have forgotten how to be. They've forgotten how to pause. So what if we bring the consciousness of the pause back? What if we go, it's okay to just stop. It's okay to just take a break. It's okay to do these things, right? But humans, they want to keep doing. And I'll tell you why they keep doing it. Because they believe their doingness is their worthiness, right? That's not our worthiness at all. We've been lied to. What we do in the world should come from our consciousness, from the movement of the divine within us to choose an activity or a movement or an impulse to bring to the world, right? So when we when we stay locked in the pity party, or ain't it awful, or at the world events, right? I'm watching this happen around me with people, you know, watching people, think about, they want somebody dead. They hate what's happening. They just like all this energy of negativity, and it's just really vile, and they don't even know they're doing it. It's just like this repetitive machine I see being turned on, and that part makes me mad in the world, right? I just want to ignite stick a dynamite in the world and kind of blow that whole energetic up, because that keeps us locked into those lower frequencies. So taking a pause, I keep diverting. I'll try to keep bringing myself back. So to take the pause, to celebrate, and to reflect on the past year while setting your positive intentions for the new cycle, which starts tomorrow. So also to celebrate peace. So our world right now is in a consciousness of war, right? War, them against them, them against me, is this constant fighting, right? So that's a consciousness. So to bring peace into the world, well, humans haven't had peace forever, probably. I think there's been a couple of brief respites of peace. How do we bring that back?
Oh, is that a question?
Sure.
So I'm thinking that, again, here's me, that everything starts with us. So we have to think about the language we use. Like when we say, I hate, and that's a separation. And the language we use when we use that type of language is violent. And so it's about being intentional about how we're living our lives every day. I mean, we watch movies and shows that are violent, and I mean, I don't, but I know a lot of people do. And when you turn on the TV, that's all they're showing now. Like, there's not many feel good movies. Like, and it's a consciousness that's not working for us. And for me, it's it's like we might not believe in war, but we're using the word hate, and we're watching violence and everything. It's like we have to become congruent, because if we're putting violence out on anyone, it's going against the concept of what this world is all about. And we're all one. What we do to another, we do to ourselves. And And it's like we have to begin with ourselves and be accountable for our own actions.
Yeah.
For me, most you mentioned movies and violence. For me, more actually is horror what I see in shops where they sell games and where they sell uh, stuff for kids, toys. Yeah. Have you actually recently been in any of those shops? There is only violence around.
Mm.
There is only some sort of Spider-Man, some sort of I don't know how they all look from Star Wars, all those things, characters, yeah. Everywhere, all toys is like that. All games is about killing something, yeah, or any other way of violence, yeah. I don't know. I miss go in toy shop and see beautiful dolls. I miss. I really miss. I doesn't matter which shop I pass. Even signs for the shops are violent now.
Mm-hmm.
Leave alone everything else. All is in dark colors, black, red, yeah, something in those type of dark colors where it's not about anything about bright white light. Yeah, nothing. It's all like that.
Yep. So, all of that is creating a consciousness. That's a programming, right? That's a programming of consciousness of violence and hate and anger, all that lower dimensionality stuff. So the Mayans wanted to, what they did is they aligned with the beings of light on this day, right? So everybody here is aligning with beings of darkness and that all that lower that I'll just frame it as darkness, right? Because it is dark. It's non-life affirming, right? Really, it's about killing. It's about annihilation. And the thing is that people are becoming anesthetized to the violence. They're just simply becoming anesthetized to that. And I've seen this play out, and maybe Jeannie, you've seen this too in homes where there's a lot of violence. The kids just get used to it, right? And if they're even offered an opportunity to leave the dysfunction, they sometimes will choose to stay in it because they're familiar with it. And the unknowingness of anything else, it's not a possibility. There's no what else is possible here, right? They've got their strategies of how to live in the violence, the harm. They have their strategies and they stay in it. Have you noticed that, Jeannie?
Yes, and I also noticed that they don't think anything else is possible. That they, because when you grow up in a family like that, you believe that everything out there is that way, because that's your world. Your family is your world as you're growing up, and until your world gets a lot bigger, you're thinking that's the way the world is. And so I think when we have that, we keep on attracting that type of energy to us, and we keep on living in that until we something comes along that says, oh, there could be a different way. And when that happens, it's a really hard process to try to change your way of being and changing your energy. And it takes a lot of work. And that's why, for me personally, I think therapy is so important, getting help not thinking you can do it on your own, because if you think you can do it on your own, you're coming from the same consciousness that got you there and to begin with. So it's like a vicious cycle that's not helping you at all. So you need outside help in whatever form that is. But I see it a lot. And when you're in that type of family, you want to blame other people for your problems and not take accountability for the idea that, oh, this is the way I was raised, and I'm drawing that energy. Like, again, I keep on saying this, but it's all about us to own our stuff and understand why we think the way we do.
Yeah.
Like if we're thinking violent, why are we thinking violent? And how do we get out of that vicious cycle?
Yep. I call that arguing for our limitations, right? We argue for, oh, well, this is what this is just me, right? You're arguing for your limitation as opposed to what else is possible, right?
Right.
And I see people argue for their limitations because they're just flat out lazy. And maybe sometimes that laziness isn't their fault. We look at what the food we eat. We look at what the content media we bring in, right? It's like, why bother sometimes? I've kind of been in that place too, where I slip into, the world's going to hell in a handbasket, like there's things like that, right? But what if the world is moving into the light, right? What about changing, reframing that? Like, so that's what today's all about is, if we can create this critical mass. I'll go back to a few weeks ago, we did a show where I showed a video, right, of the guy who says, if there's one person that can lift their frequency up, they can affect this many people, right? And it's not a little number. It's not like one. It's like
75,000 only if you little bit better than negative. Just tiny better than negative.
Right. But then if you go up a little higher, you affect even more. And you go up a little higher, you affect even more, right? Well, hell, let's just go to the beings of light. Let's just go right. Let's go to source. Let's go to love. Let's go to bliss. Let's go there, right? I also wanted to say about families. At Course in Miracles, they talk about when we arrive into our family of origin, we come fully intact with all our issues. Boy, if we could all get that right there, then the blame game could stop. Oh, I'm it. I'm the one, right? I'm it. Well, certainly there's things going on, but the truth is we come fully intact with our issues. And that's kind of like our to-do list of, oh, yeah, okay, well, let's have more love, right? Let's have more respect. Let's have more, it's like it's almost like a to-do list. And then, of course, there's always forgiveness. So I like to look at things in that way that we get stuck in a narrative of the blame, becoming reticent, becoming just stuck in it, and just accepting the way it is. And that's a downward slope, right? So if we could, I'll go back to the positive here. If we can lift our frequency and bring it, how many people can we affect? If everyone who listens to this broadcast does this, how many people can we affect? We can literally change the world. And it is up to us. We're it. That's why we're here. There's no one coming. It begins in us. The kingdom of heaven is within. The man taught us that, right? The kingdom of heaven is within. So if we want to bring heaven to earth, if we want to bring light to the darkness, then we must do that internal work ourselves. So the internal work today is really just letting go of the past, thanking it, being wow, look at that. That's gone. Thank you. You can celebrate bad stuff going away. Yay. Just be in that place of letting it go, so you can come back into this stillness, this place. People are so afraid of that stillness. They're so afraid of that quiet. They're so afraid of the pause, right? It's kind of like, take the leap and the net will appear, or the bridge will appear, right? It's being in that. It's like being in the void. And people are pretty afraid of that place, but that's the place where we create magic.
I don't know why, but just now came to me a vision about. I've been speaking with one of the clients in Ukraine, and she said that they get through a very difficult time because there was um, only couple hours of day was electricity switched on in Ukraine, yeah, and really without electricity, with a very high heat, and all she been doing, she was remembering what I tell her, and she was meditating and trying to be in the moment. And I have sort of a vision at the moment that maybe this taking off this electricity is something to do to actually remind many people you have to stop listening to mass media. Yeah, you just need go in yourselves and little bit start understand what is in you, who you actually are, and why you here and what you're doing and so on.
Yeah. Yeah. We didn't have power yesterday for a chunk of time. I love that when it goes silent. Like, you don't realize how much noise there is from electrically generated things, right? But it's just like all of a sudden, you might think it's quiet, but then when all the power goes out, there's this beautiful place, this space of no sound except for the wind and the leaves. You can hear the fluttering of the leaves. You can hear the songs of the birds so clearly. Um, yeah, yeah. Electricity, for all its good, uh, also limits us in accessing our peace, in accessing um, our connection. I mean, people get connected to internet, right? But how often do you get connected to your source? Just asking.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what I wanted to say about that. And then I do have one last thought. Is I wrote it here separately. It's a day of reverence and cultural appreciation. Time is art. Time is art. So it's kind of like framing what is time, right? And for me, that's what I've come with, is that it's art, right? It's looking at life in that creative expression. And so it'd be a good day to go out and touch nature, because it's always in that creative expression on some level or another, right? Like, I look at my arbor right here. It's like 2 weeks ago it was covered in beautiful flowers. Now it's grapes are everywhere. It's just like this transformation. Well, that's what happens to us too, when in that natural flow. Bless you, Jeannie.
Thank
And
you.
we're in that natural flow of, so connecting with nature is really a great idea for today. I'm going to go do art today. I'm taking an art class today. So I'm going to celebrate a day at a time in bringing that consciousness to a piece of art. Yeah. So
Beautiful.
So there.
Okay, I think we are came to the time when we're doing our meditation.
Wow. I talked a lot today. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I was very passionate about this subject. Anyway, so let's just take a moment and let's see where Source wants to take us on this journey of the day out of time. So just take that whole concept, the day out of time. Just bring that concept to your mind and notice what your mind wants to do with that. Bringing some noticing to this. And just take a breath in and let go. Today is the day out of time. The day where we can just sit in this pause. The past is over. The future hasn't even started yet. To bring this awareness to the pause. So take a breath in. And now think about that breath is now totally the past. And just sit in the pause before you take your next breath, which is the future. And in that pause, just be grateful for the breath, for the air that you breathe. And then exhale. And in that way, we're exhaling not only the breath, but gratitude. Let's do that one more time. Just sit in the present moment. Acknowledge the air around you. What's in that air? Oxygen. In my air, I also have fragrances of nature that are coming in. Just notice, and then take that beautiful conscious breath in and notice where it lands. So we're bringing it in and hold it there. Notice where it lands in your body. Come into gratitude for that beautiful breath of air that's filling your lungs and providing oxygen to your body. That pause is that gratitude, that awareness. And then as we release it, we release that gratitude from that breath and that awareness into our future. Paving our way with gratitude, paving our way with awareness, paving our future coming from the present moment. So come back to the present moment. We're just going to sit quiet for a moment and notice as you sit quiet, what comes up. So we're going to start with a breath, and then I'm going to be quiet for a moment and just notice what comes up for you as you sit in the pause. You sit in the silence. Take a breath in. Just notice if your mind is wanting to take you somewhere, just bring it back. Notice if you have any experiences in your body. Acknowledge it, bring it back to the present moment. Exercise yourself to come to present moment, to the pause often, because it's in that pause where we create. It's in the pause where we learn who we really are. So as we're in this pause for a moment, I'm going to invite you to reflect upon what your past year has been like. From last summer, last June 25th, when we met and we talked about the pause, this day out of time. I'd like for you to just take a moment and just think about everything that's coming up that's happened within this year. You don't have to write it down, just think about it. Okay, begin. This reflection is so important to see where you have come from. And notice if you have any judgment about anything that is coming up. And just notice it as judgment. And as you've recounted your past year and everything that has happened in your life and maybe in your country or maybe in your world, whatever has come up within that year, just bring it now to this present time and just say thank you. Thank you for all those experiences. And thank you for the insights I am receiving about all those experiences. Thank you for giving me those experiences. So as we recount, that gratitude is a way of celebrating that all of those experiences are part of who we are. And as we celebrate that, as we give thanks for that, in this present moment, we're now generating this beautiful resonance of gratitude. A gratitude for no matter what happens, I'm grateful. No matter what has happened in the past, I am grateful because I know more about me. I know more about my world. I know more, right? We know we understand more in the gratitude. And so, in this place of this pause with gratitude, celebrating and letting go and releasing that past fully and completely, bringing your awareness to the present moment, what's possible now? So, I'm going to ask you to sit for a moment and what's possible? What is possible in this moment now for your future? Take a moment. More peace, more love, more awareness. What else is possible? More joy, more goodness, more capacity to understand. These are just ideas I'm throwing out there. What else is possible? And from this place of gratitude, begin to envision your life from now until the next July 25th. That your year is now paved with all this gratitude of what else is possible. Just imagine maybe now you see peace developing within our worlds. Imagine what it would be like to see love being exchanged by people in our worlds. Imagine the possibility of all having everything they need to thrive and be healthy and whole and creative. What else is possible? And as we throw out all of our possibilities for that future, come back to the present moment. And notice how you feel when you think about all that, what is possible. I don't know, I got a big smile on my face. Makes me feel good. So bring all that energy back to the present moment. You're filled with gratitude. You're filled with joy and happiness about what's coming. And in this way, we can utilize this precious day at a time to just take a pause and invite everyone to utilize this day at a time in this way throughout the day, using your beautiful co-creative energy to connect. And now let's connect with all the light beings that know the truth, that know who we are. And as we have seen our linear time frame of past and present and future, imagine now this consciousness of who we are connecting to the light beings who are probably celebrating right now that we have accomplished this. And even though we don't understand their cosmology of time, we're in sync with it and we're open to the understanding for what it means for us. And as we see and align ourselves with the light beings and their cosmology of time, we sit in the present moment with them. For we are part of what is bringing this awareness to this planet at this time. And imagine the light beings just in celebration of us doing this beautiful piece of work here, awakening that sacred, magnificent creatorship that we are. Take a breath in and just bring energy all to this present moment, every bit of that, bring it all to the present moment. Take a breath in. Maybe your breath got more expansive. And breath out. Celebrate the pause, the letting go. Allow yourself to learn to be a human being, finding your value and your worth in your beingness. And so as we just allow the consciousness of this meditation to just settle in, I know that it continues its beautiful work within each person that hears this. And even those who do not hear this frequency is now like a pebble in the cosmic pond, and it's rippling out and touching everyone. And as I know this is truth, I'm giving thanks for this opportunity to take a pause, to come into alignment with the highest aspects of our being, to awaken and remember that we are the light beings, we are the consciousness, and that we awaken that within ourselves and with everyone else that we touch. And for that, I am so deeply grateful for this time, for this opportunity, for this pause. For I am the piece of art. You all are each the piece of artwork of creation, ever expanding, ever evolving, ever becoming a greater and greater expression of life itself. And if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what does. And so I leave us all to become the greatest expressions of life we can and what else is possible. And so it is. I love you all.
Oh, thank you, Morganne.
You're welcome.
Jimmy, is there anything you want to say?
Thank you for this program. It's I love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Morganne. Thank you, Jeanne. Thank you for being here, for your time, for all this knowledge, what we're sharing. Thank you, everybody who is watching now and everybody who will be watching in the future. If you like this show, please go back and watch another 74 shows what we done with Morganne already and now with Morganne and Jeanne. So there is lots of wisdom on my YouTube channel. So please, on my YouTube channel, Facebook page, on Morgan's Facebook page. So please go look up and you will be able to reach out all this knowledge. So next week we won't have shows, so we meeting up in week time. So please go look previous videos, gain more knowledge, and we will back in next 2 weeks. Thank you very much for watching, and God bless.